So yes, thanks very much, guys, for coming along. And so just a few thanks. What I'm going to do this morning is going to try to shamelessly plug my books on as many occasions as I can. So what I'll do is, after I say the thanks, thank different people, then I'll focus on 12. It's 12 or a dozen, I can't remember which one. A woman who feature in the book. So it's an edited highlights, I suppose, from my point of view. I, of course, think they're all brilliant and all worthy of mention. But these 12 means you'll be home before dark anyway, if I only do 12 of them. So just a few thanks first before I start. I got a hard time yesterday from an unnamed young lady who told me she had read the foreword in the book, which doesn't thank two of my inspirational women that are involved in my life. And I said to her, the small point is you have to be dead to feature in the book. So I'm thankfully that both these women are still alive, very much so. My mum and my long annoying daughter. And I suppose I should have featured my granny, but my grannies, but I didn't. Apologies for that oversight. All around, that's to the living and the dead, those apologies. Yes, a couple of more thanks. The thanks to people who have travelled a distance. So, Dad, who's that gentleman to the right there in the sofa?
Laying low.
Yes. You might recognise Mr. Paul Robinson, who's travelled all the way from Annalong, and also Fiona's travelled from Limavady direction, and and John and Lynn have travelled all the way from Whitehead. So thanks very much for people that have travelled a distance to say. So this book came about as a result of a conversation many years ago with Jackie here, and she said about writing a book about woman, and I thought, well, that's a good idea. Notice this is highly unscripted, Jackie. So I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. So here we are, many years later. At the launch of this book, I have a long track record of taking a long time to get the book from concept to reality to print. But this, even by my low standards, breaks this particular record. This has been a ridiculously long time. So it's good to finally get it out and subject you guys to the stuff that's in it. So that's I think that's all the thanks I have to do. Oh yes, special thanks. Again, this is not the John Costley show, but special thanks to a couple of sponsors. A guy called Brian Stapleton, who lives in England, Arsenal fan, but don't judge. And John and Lynn for being the main sponsors as well. So, and thanks to all of the sponsors, particularly as well for their backing. Otherwise, I couldn't do this. Which reminds me, Mum and Dad still haven't paid me. So I'll rattle through. Oh, no chance now. Sorry, right. So I'll rattle through 12 of them, and then oh, there's my remote control. So I've tried to in the book, I only feature one grave in a particular graveyard. So it's tempting, for example, I'm standing on this side of the stage because that's a bit because there's a lot of glare coming from this side of the stage with the Reverend Lamb here and his bling, and then Stuart Barber as well. So I'm kind of if I move stage left, I might have to get sunglasses from somewhere. Yeah, I've only put one person per one woman per graveyard. In other words, it would have been tempting to, for example, put 10 or whatever from Belfast City Cemetery or Dundonald, but I try to make it as less Belfast-centric as possible. So try to have feature women who are buried throughout Northern Ireland. But this is the first one, and this is by way of a shameless plug for a tour tomorrow in Balmoral Cemetery. 2 o'clock, tickets still available. So if this is Chris, where you shout out, yeah, it's a great tour, I would thoroughly recommend it. Just read my TripAdvisor reviews of it. So yes, so if you're there tomorrow at 2 o'clock at Balmoral Cemetery, you'll be very welcome. And Jackie's going to be there as well tomorrow, I think, I hope. And so she's the researcher for Balmoral Cemetery. So if you think you have family buried in Balmoral, which is the little graveyard cemetery just opposite as you come out of Musgrave Park Hospital, Jackie's the person to speak to. And her fee is, if you buy her a coffee in the Doyen across the road afterwards, she's more than happy. And if you throw in a tray bake as well, she's over the moon. This is the final resting place then of Isabella Todd. And she was a famous suffragist and a women's rights campaigner. She was born in Edinburgh, but like Mr. Lamb here. And she moved to Belfast in the 1850s and contributed to several newspapers, including the Northern Whig and the Dublin University Magazine. She founded the North of Ireland Women's Suffrage Society, and along with Margaret Byers, the Belfast Women's Temperance Association. So she died in 1896, age 60. Tom Hartley has written a book about Balmoral Cemetery, and he states in the book, the story of women in Belfast and Ireland, including their campaigns to secure the right to vote and their achievement of equal rights in health, education, and the right to be treated as first-class citizens, cannot be told without placing Isabella Todd at the very centre of that narrative. So a remarkable lady was Isabella Todd. And there's a blue plaque to Isabella Todd at her former home in Botanic Avenue, 99 Botanic Avenue. So that's Isabella Todd. Oh, that's the blue plaque. This is highly, highly slick, isn't it? And you can see there's some liquid sunshine on that blue plaque there in Botanic Avenue. So this is the second one. This graveyard here is at Seaford on the way to Newcastle. So if you're on the way to Newcastle to go to the Dodgems or to climb Sleeve Tonard, for example, not looking anywhere in particular here, this is, you go through Seaford, and this is the final resting place in this graveyard of a lady I've been looking for a number of years. This is her headstone here. Yes, this is one of these. It works perfectly, see that? Until you get over the screen, it cuts out. It's a lady called Amanda McKittrick Ross, but you would with one S. You never guess that from the headstone. It doesn't say really anything. It mentions her dad. But she was born in Drummond-S in 1860, and she worked at the Marlborough School locally. And she married Andrew Ross at Joyman Presbyterian Church in Carrick in 1887. Her husband financed the publication of Irene Eidsley, and as a gift on their 10th wedding anniversary. She went on to write 3 novels and dozens of poems. In 1917, Andrew Ross died, and in 1922, Amanda married Thomas Rogers. She wrote under the pen name of Amanda McKittrick Ross, possibly in an attempt to suggest a connection to the noble de Ross family of County Down. Her admirers, and I use the term admirers in inverted commas, included Aldous Huxley, Siegfried Sassoon, C.S. Lewis, and Mark Twain. Twain considered Irene, which was Ross's second novel, Delena Delaney. He considered Irene one of the, quote, greatest unintentionally humorous novels of all time. And Ross claimed to have enough money for her second novel, Delena Delaney, to build a house, which she named Eidsley after her first book. In her last novel, Helen Huddleston, all the characters named after various fruits. Amanda McKittrick Ross believed that her critics lacked sufficient intellect to appreciate her talent. And her works were not read widely, and it is alleged by some critics to be some of the worst prose and poetry ever written. With the Oxford Companion to the Irish Literature, to Irish literature, describing her as, quote, uniquely dreadful. So if you think my books are bad, this woman's were apparently worser. Nick Page, author of In Search of the World's Worst Writers, rated Ross the worst of the worst. I plan to give her some serious competition. Belfast Public Libraries have a large collection of manuscripts, typescripts, and first editions of her work. A biography, O Rare Amanda, was published in 1954, and she died at the Royal Victoria Hospital in 1939 under the name of Hannah Margaret Rogers. So that's the remarkably uniquely dreadful, is that the expression, Amanda McKittrick Ross. So I kind of like that. I really love that story about some of the descriptions there. So, and you can see she's got an appreciation society, which celebrating the most delightfully terrible author in the history of language. So that's quite an accolade which I'm working towards. This is in Hollywood Cemetery at the Priory, and this is the Dunville grave. Now the Dunvilles, as you might know, they're the whiskey people. And they made a complete fortune from whiskey, and they had a big distillery up near the West Link is in the Grosvenor Road now, and they lived in Hollywood. So this headstone here commemorates, amongst those commemorated here is this lady. She's Violet Dunville. So after settling in Hollywood, she took an interest in the Edwardian sport of balloon racing throughout Europe in the early years of the 20th century. She became a founder member of the Ladies' Committee of the Aero Club of the United Kingdom. In a series of balloons, all named Banshee, she competed in long-distance races just before the outbreak of the Great War. Tragically, she lost her son, John, in the conflict, killed in service in 1917. After the war, she continued to compete in balloon races across Europe. On one occasion in 1923, she and her crew had a lucky escape while racing in Belgium. Her balloon's grappling hook got caught on a roof in a lightning storm, turning off chimneys and causing her to be thrown under the balloon car. Despite this, she was able to return in her balloon to Brussels to finish the race. There's a book called Petticoat Pilots by Michael Trainer, and it contains stories of Violet and other local daredevil female Irish aviators, including Lillian Bland. So the Dunville family lived at Redburn House in Hollywood, and Violet died on 7th of March 1940, aged 78. But on her headstone, above it says, "Rest comes at length, though life be long and dreary." And I think it's wholly inappropriate for Violet Dunville, because she had anything but a dreary life. So that's if Ivan told the back can't see, that'll learn you for sitting in the low seats. When you got here, all these seats were free, available. So this is down in Glencoe, outside Larne, and this is a headstone that features on my YouTube channel. I have to plug my YouTube channel. So it's Peter McKay's Memorable Memorials. Justin does the filming for it and most of the hard work. I'm not sure what purpose I have in front of the camera, but this is one that features on our YouTube channel. I say it's in Glencoe. For folks of a certain generation, you'll remember Glencoe used to be where Maud's ice cream was, since they moved up then to Carrick. So this is the final resting place of Martha Craig, and she was born in 1866 at Cornell, outside Glencoe, and she was educated in England and France. As a young woman, she was a member of the Henry Joy McCracken Society and believed in radical land reform in Ireland to cure the country of landlordism. She began a career in journalism and left Ireland for the United States in 1890. She was invited to the White House by President William McKinley in 1898 when they discussed Ireland's hopes and freedoms. She moved to Canada, where her interest in Indigenous culture led her to spend some time living with the I can't say this word, so it's the Garden River First Nation. And she claimed to have been adopted by the nation and given the name Inukwas-Hosha, which stands for brave one. Anybody like to correct me there? In 1905, she explored the interior of Labrador. That's not a dog, Macintosh. And she was published in Cosmopolitan in July 1905, claiming to be, quote, the only white woman who has explored Labrador. It was also claimed that Craig gifted a, quote, talking machine outfit to an indigenous tribe who gave her a gold mine in exchange. Craig believed that all life is vibration and that she had been reincarnated from an Indian princess called Meta. So I don't know if that's any relation of Mark Zuckerberg. I think that's where Meta comes from. Her vortex theory appeared on the front page of the American Register newspaper, and she was invited to lecture at the University of Salamanca, the first woman to do so. She died on the 2nd of April 1950, aged 83, at her sister's house in Carneil, and say is buried in Gleno. So, quite a remarkable lady. You wouldn't get any clues at all from the headstone there. Of course, there's a Margaret Craig. We have a Margaret Craig in the building. And there's John Craig, my uncle, and Jean Craig, my granny. It's not that one, though. So, there's a blue plaque. Oh, that's not the right one. There's a blue plaque to her. You can see commemorates that brave woman. And she's commemorated as a writer, a lecturer, explorer, and explored Labrador in Canada. So that was unveiled in October 2021. There's a number.
Discrepancy between the date of birth there and on the gravestone.
Jack's now telling me I've got the wrong headstone.
No, there is a difference.
Oh, sorry, that's the wrong way.
It says 67 on the headstone.
Oh, yes. Good question.
I'll look into that one.
Oh, yes, Jackie's on the case already. I can hear her typing. I would tend to go with the blue plaque, to be honest, because it's quite often if you on a headstones the dates can be wrong. Maybe the monumental sculptures had an off day, but I suppose as well as that, if you look at that, those aren't in chronological order either. So I think it's maybe the family have perhaps got a bit of money, so then they've put up a bigger headstone and then put the name, so they maybe got the date wrong in that case. But yes, I like to say to Jack that I welcome questions, but only ones that I know the answers to. So the next one then is up to Carnlough. And apologies for the not great photograph, but these three graves that lie there in front of that scenic church, it's the final resting place of Netta Johnston. She was known as the Lady Piper of Carnlough. She was a tall, slim, and outwardly frail lady. It belied her underlying strength of character. She was refined, cultured, and dignified, however deemed as somewhat eccentric. She was well known as a night owl, often seen walking around Carnlough in the wee small hours, carrying a long sword, which she kept razor blade sharp. She was also proficient in judo and kept a loaded shotgun beneath her bed. She loved music playing and teaching the classical violin. Was also competent on the piano, the lute, and a pipe organ, and was organist at St Mary's Church of Ireland, Ardglennis, which is that church there, a little bit outside Carnlough. She had a strong sense of community, and she was heavily involved in staging her first ever feis in the Glens of Antrim in 1904, and actively involved in the committee until the 1930s. She formed the Carnlough non-sectarian flute band, which never marched on either St Patrick's Day or the 12th of July. One of Netta's most notable achievements was that she was accomplished on the Uilleann pipes and was a pupil of the famed Richard Lewis O'Malley. It was her last wish that her coffin should be carried in an upright position around the village so everyone could see her with the procession led by an Uilleann piper playing Let Erin Remember, and finished by the band she formed playing Will You No Come Back Again. I should have got Jack to say that, but in the event, her funeral was a conventional one, no doubt due to her many difficulties she had with her local rector. And her pipes now reside at the Ulster Museum, and there's a blue plaque unveiled in Cornlock in 2019 to her. I haven't gone around just looking at all the blue plaques and featuring them, but there are a number of ladies that I've only become aware of because I've noticed the blue plaque and then done asked Jackie to do the research for me. I nearly said do the research myself, but that will never happen, as Jackie knows. So this is, again, apologies for the bad photograph, but this is up in Ballywillan, outside Portrush. Again, this grave featured on my YouTube channel. This is the final resting place of Rhoda Adair. And as you might see from these great photographs, she had a swing to die for. She was born in Cookstown, and along with a lady called May Heslett, she's the most famous Irish golfer from the Irish female golfer from the turn of the 20th century. She was 17 years of age when she played in her first British Ladies Amateur in 1885. In 1889, she nearly beat the 77-year-old Old Tom Morris, who had designed the St Andrews links where they were playing. Morris was quoted as having said, "I no be licked by a lassie, but only won on the final green." Rhoda Adair went on to win the British Ladies Amateur in 1900, and again in 1903. She also won 4 straight Irish Ladies Close Championships, and she played several golfing exhibition matches in the US in 1903. While she was there, she befriended Genevieve Hecker, the 2-time US Women's Amateur Champion. And Hecker asked her to contribute a chapter on British golf for a book published in 1904, the first ever book written for female golfers. She won a big tournament in Philadelphia, and this led to the Illustrated Sporting News describing her as the foremost lady golfer in the world. So in October 1906, she married Algerton Cuthell, an army captain from West Yorkshire, and gave up her career in competitive golf to raise 2 children in Aldershot. Sadly, Cuthell was killed in action in the Dardanelles during the Great War. And after the death of her husband then, Rona returned to Ireland, where she remained supportive of women's golf and was the president of the Irish Ladies Golf Union when she died in Portrush. So again, you wouldn't get any clues from that fairly rubbish photograph of that headstone about who this lady was, a sporting superstar back in the day. And it's hard to see, it's very hard to see, but it mentions there Cuthell, who was her husband, who was killed at the Dardanelles. So I have to thank Fiona for this one. This is, again, it's not a great photograph, but it is an unmarked grave not far from here in Knockbreda Cemetery. You can just see it to the left. As the final resting place is this lady to the right. She was known as, at the time the photograph was taken, Lizzie Thompson, but prior to that, Lizzie Endicott. She was born in County Donegal around 1880, and she was a nurse for C.S. Lewis and his big brother Warney for only 3 years, from 1901 to 1904. But she played a huge role in Lewis's life and works. This is for you, Jack. Aged between 21 and 24, their time together was limited, but Lizzie survives, quote, the exacting memory of his childhood, close quote, as a flawless person. In his autobiography, Surprised by Joy, Lewis names Lizzie as the first of 2 other blessings before introducing Warney. So that shows you how close he was to Lizzie. Lewis said, in addition to good parents, good food, and a garden to play in, I began life with 2 other blessings. One was our nurse, Lizzie Endicott, in whom even the exacting memory of childhood can discover no flaw, nothing but kindness, gaiety, and good sense. Lizzie introduced Lewis to fairy stories, first opening the wardrobe door to the enchanted worlds that thrilled and haunted him initially through stories from her home county of Donegal. And then came the early Beatrix Potter volumes, hot off the press. So Lewis also referred to the first 3 published books in the Chronicles of Narnia as a series of my fairy tales. That makes Lizzie Endicott the nurse of Elfland, and her lap in the cradle of the Chronicles and the woman behind the wardrobe. Lewis also honoured Lizzie as Caspian's nurse in Prince Caspian, the unnamed caregiver who used fairy stories to introduce a young prince to Narnia. So again, you would get absolutely no indication, there's no headstone at all for this remarkable lady that played such a key role in C.S. Lewis's upbringing here in East Belfast. So I have to thank as well as Fiona, I have to thank Reggie Weems for his research on the Lizzie. The next one, again, you wouldn't get any clue from this headstone, which is Dundonald Cemetery, but I'm going to talk about this lady here, Anne Crone. And she was born in Dublin in 1915. She was educated, if that's not a contradiction in terms, at Methody, and at Somerville College at Oxford. She graduated with a first-class BA in French and German in 1936 and a BLet in 1940. She taught for a number of years at Victoria College in Belfast. She moved to Princess Gardens School in 1948, going on to become the head of Department of Modern Languages. So she wrote books. Her first publication was Bridie Steen, with an introduction from Lord Dunsany. And he described the book as one of the greatest novels of her time. So it was published in New York by Scribner's in 1948 and reprinted by Blackstaff Press here in Belfast in 1984. Her other works also included The Pleasant Lee, published by Scribner's in 1951, and My Heart and I, published in London in 1955. Belfast Public Library describes Bridie Steen as a transatlantic bestseller. So again, there's a transatlantic bestseller, and that's how she's commemorated in Dundonald Cemetery. Detailing the story of Bridie, the orphaned child of a mixed marriage, raised by a Catholic aunt and pressurized unsuccessfully to change her religion by her grandmother and her fiancé. Driven by unhappiness, she accidentally drowns in a bog. Now, I say it doesn't seem like a bundle of laughs, that particular book. So if people say to me, well, it's a bit sad to be writing about graveyards, is it not? Well, this lady became a bestseller for writing stuff like that, so there's hope yet. She also wrote fiction about sectarian pressures as they affected a young woman in rural Ulster. She suffered severely from asthma throughout her life and was living at King's Road, number 12, when she died. So that's the remarkable Anne Crone. Again, one of the things that I enjoy going around graveyards or outdoor museums, as I tend to refer to them as, is unearthing, not literally, but uncovering, let's say, is that any better? The stories about these remarkable people, in this case, a woman who lie there. This is up the Cornmoney Cemetery, and you might be able to see up at the top, there's a little replica of a medal. This is the final resting place of the remarkable Sadie Patterson, and you can see she's commemorated there, the second line down, as an Irish peacemaker. She was born in 1904. She began working in Ewart's Mills, aged 14. That was in the Crumlin Road. She began to become involved in workers' rights and unionism, so that by 1940, she led the call for the unionisation of the Ewart's workforce and led 2,000 people on strike for 7 weeks. Well, don't go up the workers or something like that. They achieved better pay and sick leave and holiday pay. And she began working full-time for the Transport and General Workers Union, where she had special responsibility for women, a position she held for 20 years. She was also an active member of the Girls' Club Union for 50 years. In 1945 election campaign, she worked for the Northern Ireland Labour Party. In 1953, she was awarded an MBE. From 1973, she went on to get involved in the peace marches. She was a founder of Women Together and then People Together, and who evolved into the Peace People, and she led women in marches. In 1977, she became the first recipient of the World Methodist Peace Award. In total, she received 5 international peace awards. And David Blakely, the late great David Blakely, wrote a biography of her life, Sadie Patterson. That's pictured over to the right there. Sadie Patterson, Irish peacemaker. It came out in 1980. She died in 1985, and she's also commemorated on a blue plaque on the Shankill Road, as Jack will know, at Shankill Road Methodist Church. Yeah. So the remarkable Sadie Patterson, and this is a replica of the at the top of her headstone then of the Methodist Peace Award. This is one of my favourites then. This is down Ederney in County Fermanagh. Now, I didn't know this before, but there are 5 little graveyards in Ederney. Of course, this lady was in the 5th. So just as I was about to go home, I thought, oh, I'll go into the 5th one. And you might be able to see at the bottom then, Denise Weston Austin, died 1997, age 71. Can anybody see what's down the bottom left of the headstone?
An elephant.
Justin, you're only saying it because you know the answer. You know who this lady is. Yes, Chris, it's an elephant, that's right. And so this is Denise Austin here. She was born in 1905 and she was colloquially known as the Elephant Angel. She became the first female zookeeper to work at Belfast Zoo. During the Belfast Blitz in April 1941, the Ministry of Public Security told the RUC to shoot and kill 33 large animals due to concerns that the German bombings may break their cages and release them into the city. So, for example, you might have survived the Blitz, the bombing, but then if the fencing had been compromised then at the zoo, you might have been mauled by a lion or a tiger. So these 33 animals were to be shot, euthanized. In order to prevent Sheila, a large African elephant, from being killed in this manner, Austin walked the elephant to her house on the Whitewell Road every day after work, and then kept the elephant in the backyard. And then before the zoo opened the next day, then she would walk the elephant back up the road to be there in time and before the zoo opened. So the British children's author Michael Morpurgo loosely based his 2011 novel An Elephant in the Garden on Austin's story after hearing about it on the radio. Austin also inspired the 2017 film Zoo, which is there to the right, written and directed by Colin McIver. And the 2021 novel The Zookeeper of Belfast by S. Kirk Walsh was also inspired by Austin's actions. So it says in the book that Sheila the elephant survived the war and lived for 25 more years until dying in 1966. However, Mythbuster Nigel Henderson has said that he's demanding a full reprint of the book because he's not even Nigel would do that. He said that actually Sheila died of shock. The elephant died of shock not long after the Belfast Blitz, but the zoo then got another elephant in Herdley, which they also called Sheila. So the perception is that Sheila lived on for another 25 years, but it actually didn't. It was Sheila Mark II that died in 1966. So sorry to burst your bubble there. But again, that's why down in Ederney in County Fermanagh, that's why there's a little elephant at the base of Denise Austin's headstone. This is up in Roselawn. This is one that you might know, Carol, a wee bit. This is the final resting place then of Kay McKinley. She was a member of the University Road Belfast Moravian congregation. And in 1942, she was called Kathleen Adams. She volunteered for service with the Royal Air Force and was recruited as a member of WAF, Women's Auxiliary Air Force. And selected for training as an instrument repairer, which is a vital and specialised technical role which had previously been undertaken only by men. So she was a leading aircraft woman for the duration of the war. She served at bases throughout England, as well as Wig Bay, which is a sea-based plane in Scotland. That gives me a tenuous link into one of my other books, about the Princess Victoria disaster. A lot of the men who would have been on the Princess Victoria that day were returning from work at Wig Bay near Stranraer. And Kay also worked closer to home at Bishop's Court near Ballynornan. She worked on grounded aircraft and serviced and repaired flight instruments such as airspeed indicators and artificial horizons, as well as flight cameras and oxygen systems. So a matter of life and death for the air crew, as instrument failure could be critical. So part of this role also involved accompanying the pilots in test flights. So some of the pilots took great delight in scaring Kay and her fellow WAFs with their antics, looping the loop, hedge hopping, and doing downward dives. So one of the highlights of her time in the WAF came when she was stationed at Bishop's Court, when she was presented it to General Eisenhower, the Allied commander. So there's a couple of great photographs which have been colorized by Lynn here, and thanks to Lynn for unwittingly giving me the information to feature in the book. So the last one then is, this is some of Kay's, this is her service and release book, and then that's also, I can hear my daughter yawning even though I'm not looking in that direction. Certificate of release as well. So the last one then is in Milltown Cemetery, and this is a lady called Nolene Adair. So again, you wouldn't get any indication of the remarkable life that Nolene led from that headstone, but at the base then there's an image of Nolene at the base. So this is her here. She was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 22, and despite being seriously ill for a decade, she founded the Pretty in Pink charity in 2006. The aim of Pretty in Pink is to create awareness of breast cancer, especially in young women. Speaking to the Belfast Telegraph in 2012, Nolene, who had undergone several bouts of chemotherapy, said she inherited her courage from her mother, who brought up 3 children in West Belfast as a single parent. We were very close as a result, and I think I've inherited Mummy's strength, she said. Constantly supported by her husband Gavin, she was asked at the time, as the charity's founder, how she would like to be remembered. Her answer was, quote, as somebody who made a difference, close quote. Following her death in 2014, aged 35, the Pretty in Pink website paid tribute to Nolene. Said not only was Nolene the charity founder and our colleague, but she was also our friend, mentor, and inspiration to us and others. Our thoughts are with the family at this time. Nolene loved life and she lived it to the full through her charity. We felt very fortunate to have been able to share, there's somebody looking out, to share her journey of passion and determination as she fought to help others. Her memory will live on through the charity that she founded. So I've been a long-suffering Ards fan, and as with Jana, and so a couple of weeks ago we went, Ards were playing Glenavon, and we beat them actually, surprisingly. My dad's a Glenavon fan, have to throw that one in. And they were collecting for Pretty in Pink just as we went in. So it's good to see that Pretty in Pink charity is still doing well and is doing crucial work in breast cancer awareness and treatment. So I'll finish with just 3 that I've seen from going around graveyards, and they're all of women. And so I'll try to finish on, well, I'll shamelessly plug my other books as well, but and other people's books. So I'll finish with 3 that I've noticed in different graveyards, all of them that don't feature in the book. So this one here, in loving memory of our great aunt Frances Hannah, No Surrender, with the flags behind it. So I'm surmising that she wasn't an alliance voter. This is in Roselawn, and so this is the Doyle plot. So Tommy Doyle is commemorated here as the Bard of Ballinafie. What I can see is the Bard of Ballinafie was just a guy who drank too much in the big house and wrote fairly average prose, but he gave himself this title of the Bard of Ballinafie. But his wife Mary, who had predeceased him, she was aged 60 when she died. But if you look at the base of the headstone, it says forever 39. So she had 21 39th birthdays. And commemorated as forever 39. This is the last one then. So this is the Duff plot. And you can see around the top then it commemorates Hugh Mallinson Duff. He was with the Merchant Navy in the GCHQ. And then it commemorates his wife, Isabella Nee Curry Duff. And she died in 2017. She was a mother, a grandmother, and great-grandmother. And then it says, this is the quietest she's ever been. So again, it says at the base then, loved by all. So I actually know Isabella and Hugh's son, Bill. So they said that they teased her that they were going to put this on her headstone. Initially, she was reluctant, but she came around to it. So yes, it's a personal favourite of mine. The hecklers are getting younger here, Lindsay. It's written a number of books. I don't like to talk about it much, but I've locked the doors, and I've employed the services of a mean-looking bouncer who's sitting by the door there. That's the best I could do, I'm afraid. You see, I am on a budget. Slick, Trevor. So I go out the fire exit. Actually, I'm scared. So these are the first 4 books. So I wrote one. The first book was about Belfast City Cemetery. So I was amazed when I went round on one of Tom Hartley's tours about how many folks from this neck of the woods, from East Belfast, are buried in West Belfast. But why would it not be? Because that was the main burying place for folks from all parts of Belfast back in the late 18th century. So an example of that would be I noticed a grave of a man called Samuel David Bell. Samuel David Bell runs a business even to this day. Well, the family runs a business even to this day here in East Belfast called SD Bells. So the headstone was very overgrown. So I then tidied it up, and I contacted the SD Bells and said, any chance of a free coffee? So then the guy, Barry, who's no longer with us, sadly, I can remember people by the football teams that they support, so he always wore a Sunderland hat. I thought that was a Newcastle fan heckling. So he said, yeah, come over and get a free coffee, no problem. I said, any chance of a tray bake? So I got a latte and a 15, as if I need it. The second book then was about Dundonald Cemetery. And I do tours on request in Dundonald Cemetery. So amongst the people buried there, there's a Henry Joy McCracken buried there, but it's not the Henry Joy McCracken. There's also Fleming Fulton, as in the special needs school on the Malone Road. There's also Sir Thomas and Lady Dixon, as in the park. But there's also Horatio Todd. Now, so when I'm doing the tours there, I say, right, now we're going to Horatio Todd's. Imagine people's crushing disappointment then when they realize I'm talking about his grave. They're expecting a wee drink or a slap-up meal, and I'm talking about his grave. So Horatio Todd's, he was a chemist. He had his premises at the bottom of the Hollywood Road, and then, but he lived off the Sandown Road. He's best known now for the pub named in his honour up at Ballysnackmore, you have to call it now. Horatio Todd's is known locally as High Ratio of Prods. So then the next book after that was 2020. Can anybody guess when it came out? Came out in 2021. It was supposed to come out in 2020, but that was a year unlike any other, as you know. So it's 20 different graves in each of 20 different local cemeteries. So there's Derry City Cemetery features in that, Cornmoney features in it, 3 different graveyards in Bangor, Cumber Cemetery, Movilla Cemetery, etc. Then the 4th book was Roselawn. That's my granny and grandad Craig on their wedding day in 1944. My mum was born in 1943. No, she wasn't. My mum says quite categorically, yes. And sadly, on the back cover of that, then, is their final resting place in Roselawn. It features, the Roselawn book features a lot of Troubles victims, sadly. So there's an RUC trail in there talking about those who were murdered during the dark days of the Troubles. So I mentioned also other people in there, like George Best, etc. So the 5th book then, speaking of George Best, that's seamless link. This is 50 Footballers, and it was my 5th book. And you can see a number of people there, number of footballers. So this is the 1 to 12, and so number 1 is Harry Gregg, the goalkeeper, and number 5 is Ryan McBride, who's the Derry City captain, the Brandywell where Derry play. Stuart's eyes are closing over here when talking about football. The Brandywell is named after Ryan McBride these days. Then there's George Best, Wilbur Cush, Jimmy Jones, both Glenavon legends, Charlie Tully, a Belfast Celtic and Glasgow Celtic legend, Adrian Doherty, played for Man United. Very sad story, but there's a really good book written about him and then Bertie Peacock. So he's commemorated. There's a statue up in Coleraine outside Bishops. So then, as I mentioned, then I did a book about the Princess Victoria disaster, 31st of January 1953. 135 people died. There was no women and children amongst the survivors, 44 survivors. All the women and children got into the lifeboat, which overturned, which meant that no women and children survived. So that book came out on the 70th anniversary of the loss of Princess Victoria. So it details from all around Northern Ireland the final resting places of 70 of the victims. So it was quite hard to do that book because there weren't that many. Was just slightly over 70 bodies recovered. So, and some of them were buried in Scotland, so I couldn't feature them. So then, my most recent book before this was about this crazy man here who's joined us to the left. So, Stuart Barber. I used to say that the living were of no interest to me whatsoever, and then I met Stuart, and so that kind of changed my mind for about 10 minutes. And then, but sadly, in those 10 minutes, I'd already agreed to do the book. So Stuart's a big. Oh, did you arrange that, Stuart? It's not all about you. Stuart's a big cricket fan. So it's 70 not out. So it's 70 weird and wacky and crazy stories about Stuart's life to date. And I should say it's Stuart Barber BEM now, and he's now raised over 80,000. Oh, 87. He's raised over 87, not a very small percentage of it from the book sales, sadly. So he's heading up to the 100,000, hopefully. You might recognise Stuart because when he's out and about plodding the road, sometimes and staggering around, he's quite often it's in East Belfast, so he hails from this neck of the woods. So that's the kind of garb that he wears. He's slightly underdressed today, and he might just have copies of his book with you. Do you? He just happens to have copies of his book with him, and I'm stupid for asking that question. And they're £15 each, and all the profits go to Cancer Focus. So, yeah, so I'll be hanging about for a while. The books are £12.50 each. I can do a special offer for 2 for 25, and for the sponsors who have paid me, again, special thanks to the sponsors. But if anybody sponsored it and hasn't and paid me and I haven't given their book, please remind me. So I think that's you, Russell. I think that's where I'm looking. Oh yes, finally, just a final shameless plug again for the YouTube channel, Peter McCabe's Memorable Memorials. You can see it there. Justin and I only put up one video a week, so in other words, we don't inundate people with tosh. So we used to be based in Northern Ireland, or just focus on Northern Ireland, but now we've gone very international. The furthest one away geographically is in Limerick, outside Limerick, the final resting place of the ex-lead singer of the Cranberries, Dolores O'Riordan. And then we also have a number over in England and Scotland. So say if you'd be kind enough to subscribe to that channel, it's for free, and say we don't inundate people. So thanks very much. Thanks for coming, guys.